So chances are you're probably watching this video on a PC or a laptop. If you're not, well, I don't know, hello I guess. And 99% of the time, if you're using a PC or laptop, you definitely have Windows as your operating system. And love Microsoft or not, at least they did give us all of this stuff, including Microsoft Edge. Jeez Microsoft, what the hell were you thinking when you made this tweet? Holy shit. But today we're gonna focus on one of Microsoft's most notable invention, Windows. And as the title suggests, I'm gonna explain every Windows version ever, so yeah, that's enough of the intro, let's begin. So Windows version 1.0 was released on the 20th of November 1985. Back then, the internet we all know ain't even a thing yet, and so are websites, and so is Drake. And so, fun fact, when Windows 1.0 was released, people didn't like that they had to use a mouse, which was a fairly new thing at the time. But I mean, like, what the hell were they using back then? A fucking Atari? So about version 1.0, it costed $99, which is ballsy, and to run it, you need 256 kilobytes of RAM, which is insanely small in today's standards, until you realize that Voyager has like 4 times less memory, so like, yeah. For storage, you can literally just use a floppy disk. Those things have like 1 to 2 megabytes of storage at most. Me at the zoo can just barely fit on those things. Also, there's a game called Reverse in it, and I've got no fucking clue how to play this, so let's just move on. Next, Windows version 2.0 was released on the 9th of December 1987. Websites, still not a thing. Somehow. Did people even use the internet before websites existed? So anyways, this version introduced overlapping window tabs that can be resized, desktop icons, keyboard shortcuts, Microsoft Word, and Microsoft Excel. For RAM requirements, it now has doubled to 512 kilobytes, and the storage menu is still floppy disk, although in version 2.1 you need a hard disk instead, but I digress. For the interface, not much has changed. Like, I'm not really kidding when I'm saying this, but Windows 1 and 2 looks pretty much the same, but I don't know, that's just me. Anyways, next is Windows version 3.0, released on the 22nd of May 1990. Do websites finally exist? Well,
no.
But hey, at least Lithuania now does. So anyways, Windows 3.0 updated the GUI, and now when you open Windows, you don't see a whole list of apps and programs here. Instead, they've been replaced with icons, which definitely really made it more appealing. And also, Solitaire was Solitaire was added too, so there's that. For RAM and storage, you need a bit more than the previous version, so now it can handle much better at multitasking. Windows version 3 also introduced the Entertainment Pack, which is basically the same as YouTube Playables, just without the brain rot games.
Family for 3 years without any contribution. Today, you have to sign a divorce agreement.
Ooh.
Carrie?
Damn!
My son just got tons of letters.
Windows 3.1, released on the 6th of April 1992, added TrueType fonts, which are simply fonts that are not pixelated when being displayed. Here are a few examples that were added in Windows 3.1. Notice anything? So yeah, that's why they got introduced. And also, Minesweeper was added, which replaced Reversi. Oh my fucking god, I finally don't have to play this shit. And good news, websites have finally been made. Holy crap, it's about time. And oh yeah, the Soviets are not so living anymore.
What's up?
Windows 3.1 is the first version to have a starter sound. Hooray! Anyways, for RAM and storage, you know what, let's just put it here on screen instead. I don't have to manually talk anymore. Anyways, let's just move on. So Windows NT 3.1, released on the 27th of July 1993, was the first version of Windows to not run on MS-DOS. It has its own separate OS instead. I'm not going in depth to explain MS-DOS, but just imagine that MS-DOS is like a game engine, like Unity, and Windows is the video game on top. And every version before NT 3.1 ran on MS-DOS, but this is the gifted kid. He's the odd ones out. And this change allowed later Windows versions to have more advanced features like Alt F4 or something. System check. So what's going on in the world? The Twin Towers got bombed? Hopefully nothing else happens to it in 8 years. Also, Jurassic Park got released. Okay, I guess. Anyways, there are a few more versions released after Windows NT 3.1, like Windows 3.11, which just fixed network problems. Yeah, that's really it, but to be fair, it's just a minor update. Windows 3.2, which is just Windows 3.1, but Chinese. And Windows NT Workstation, all of them releasing in the span of 1.5 years. When will new updates and stuff be released this quickly again? I guess we'll never know. Windows 95, released on the 95th of August 24, introduced the start menu, the taskbar. The desktop look kinda reminds me to a YouTuber or something, but I kinda forgot who it was. I know, yeah, the startup sound is very nice to listen to. An Internet Explorer, yes, that Internet Explorer, was also introduced in Windows 95, although you need to pay for like a DLC or some shit to get it. I've got no comment. System check. Next is Windows NT 4.0, which is basically identical to Windows 95, except for the name. Then Windows 98 was released 2 years later, and this version was completely filled with bugs, issues, and security flaws. I guess old habits die hard. Then it became the Windows 98 2nd edition, which is kinda more functional, same with the following release of Windows 2000. Then in September of 2000, Windows ME was released, and then it became one of the biggest flops in the history of Microsoft. Why? A whole bunch of miscalculations, and also the fact that Windows 2000 and ME keeps getting confused with one another. And so then it's no surprise the Windows ME is sometimes nicknamed the Windows Mistake Edition. Harsh. Then everything changed when the XP Nation attacked. Windows XP released on the 25th of October 2001. It's no doubt that this is one of the most iconic versions of Windows. I mean, the desktop wallpaper alone is like the most viewed image in the world. Fun fact, that desktop wallpaper is called Bliss, and the hill in it is a real place somewhere in Sonoma County. And this is what it looks like today. Nothing like the original. Alright, what is going on in the world? Okay. Anyways, after the absolute dumpster fire of Windows ME, Microsoft permanently ended the MS-DOS operating system. From this point on, all Windows versions are in the NT operating system instead, which was much more stable and more powerful. And because of this, Windows XP sold over 400 million copies in the first 5 years of its release. Here's a system tech to prove my point. The Windows XP interface has been changed massively from its predecessors, and things like stash grouping, an updated start menu, and other features were added, and we can see that this is the beginning of modern Windows history, including... As of 2024, around 0.5% of all Windows users worldwide use Windows XP. I can't imagine why, but do note, do not connect this thing to the internet, trust me. Up next is Windows Vista, which was released on the 30th of January 2007. With development for Vista starting all the way back in 2001, you can see that Microsoft definitely planned huge things for this version. However, during the development process, Microsoft had to reset everything, because and that means a lot of the planned features got thrown into the bin. But regardless, release it did. Windows Vista had new features like this cool glass down thing, the sidebar, Windows Defender, and an improved search tool. And also better running capabilities. And oh yeah, system check. But beyond all of that, everything else was shit, and people took notice of it. Many critics complained that the OS was very resource hungry and slower than its predecessor, Windows XP, and was filled with hardware compatibility issues. Some people even went as far as uninstalling Windows Vista and reinstalling Windows XP, which is like 7 years older at that point. For comparison, that's like if people got pissed with the newest Minecraft update and decided to step all the way back into version 1.12. Granted, Windows didn't go through 8 different version releases in between, so in reality it's not that extreme, but in the end, Windows Vista's legacy is marked with mismanagement and bad timing. However, this wasn't the case with the next edition. Windows 7, released on the 22nd of October 2009, was another revolutionary release of Windows. Now, both Vista and 7 look similar, but the 7 was just much better. In summary, Microsoft basically went like, alright, calm down guys. We all know by now that Windows Vista, yeah, it's all dog shit, but don't worry, we present Windows 7 as an apology for releasing Windows Vista. This time, Windows 7 actually have tons of hardware compatibility, a faster boot time, and enhanced memory management, which leads to an improved overall performance. What do you guys think? Oh, finally, thank God. Windows 7 also added live thumbnails, advanced touch and handwriting recognition, which means that I can finally understand whatever this is trying to say, added BitLocker, and also XP mode.
So when you miss Windows XP, you can just pretend that you didn't.
And with everything I just said, Windows 7 became a massive success. In just 6 months after release, it sold over 100 million copies, far surpassing its predecessor Vista. To this day, it's still being used by approximately 50 million people, partially because the next version was another flop. Oh yeah, you already know what this is at this point. The next version, Windows 8, released on the 26th of October 2012, was another flop made by Microsoft. I'm starting to see a pattern here. So anyways, Microsoft made a big misstep on their part. They made the user interface 100% designed and made for PCs and laptops and nothing else, and made it more usable for mobile devices instead, because Microsoft wanted to show their new Windows Phone or something. Then, get this, they removed the start button and replaced it with whatever this is. Unsurprisingly, lots of people hated this. I mean, I do get it. The whole thing is like a freaking labyrinth to navigate. The desktop is still there though, and overall if you ignore their questionable design choices, Windows 8 is not that bad of a system. It roughly had the same system requirements as Windows 7, it improved the capabilities of Windows Defender, added drag and drop in File Explorer, and it paved the road for future versions to learn from. But alas, none of that was able to change the reception of Windows 8. In fact, support for Windows 8 ended only 3 years after being released, which is an outlier from other versions.
Even Vista got supported longer.
However, the mistakes learned from Windows 8 paved the way for another version to succeed where Windows 8 had failed. Windows 8.1, released just a year later, was kinda like the Windows Vista 7 situation all over again. The, hey, we're sorry for releasing this version, here's a better one, hopefully, type of situation. Windows 8.1 brought back the start button, which is definitely an improvement, and now you have the choice to either see the screen or the desktop on boot up, which was definitely acceptable for both PC and tablet users of Windows. And this is where I should probably mention that Microsoft for the most part has a superpower known as damage control, which just means limiting the amount of damaging effects from a big accident. They successfully pulled this off after the releases of ME, Vista, and 8, and gave people a better vision instead. It's exactly how Hello Games managed to turn No Man's Sky from the most playable, unplayable game to something unimaginably better. But I shouldn't get ahead of myself. As Windows 10 had just released around a year before No Man's Sky, Windows 10 is currently the most common version of Windows used, with over
200 million
PCs running on Windows 10. In fact, you're most likely running on Windows 10. Windows 10 introduced new features such as bundled apps, Cortana, Live Tiles, Task View, Windows Hello, the Action Center, the start screen was removed but still usable for tablets, and so much more. And oh yeah, Microsoft Edge was also added into Windows 10, which we all know is the best browser to download other browsers. Alright, let's see what the world's been up to. It's been 14 years. Alright, so in the last 14 years, there's been quite the scuffles. There has been 9 iPhone models released, 4 FIFA World Cups, 7 Olympic Games, countless famous video games also have been released. Almost every social media platform was launched, and yeah, you get the idea. It turns out a lot can change in 14 years, wow. Anyways, Windows 10 was said to be the last Windows edition, and this is partly why there's no Windows 9. Windows 10 would be regularly updated as a service, however, we all know how wrong that was, and yeah, je ne plus besoin d'expliquer ce que c'est. And finally, Windows 11, released on the 5th of October 2021. A slew of events have happened by now. A whole pandemic erupted, and there's one more World Cup, okay, woo. And Minecraft's starting to become great again. And oh, watch you look at that, this guy named Mr. Beast is really starting to take off. I do sure hope nothing happens to him in 3 years. Anyways, Windows 11 changed the user interface as usual, however this time it isn't actually that bad. They centered the taskbar, added Copilot, the second version of ChatGPT, upgraded system requirements, as well as all these stuff I don't really care about, because pretty much no one is updating to Windows 11. The previous Windows is still widely used, and people just don't give a shit about Windows 11. They definitely should have stuck with the idea of Windows 10 being the last version, but hey, it is what it is. And with all of that, thanks for watching this video, and be sure to subscribe because I don't know what to do with my life.
Bye!